On a very special Bog Panda show today, we're gonna give Mike an eye test. So we're gonna see how this works out. Are you ready, sir?
Yes.
Okay. What was that?
So at a glance, it looked like a Nintendo 64 controller.
That's what it would look like at a glance, but it's not because it has AV ports on it, an on-off switch, an additional joystick port, um, a battery pack, which we'll talk about shortly. That's not a memory card there, folks. That's a battery pack. And most importantly, a totally unprotected card slot that's available to you as well. So this is a Famiclone, and it goes by many, many names. Several of them actually either silkscreened on or emblazoned on the controller. It's a Super Joystick TV game. It's also called Super Joy 3. The packaging included Power Player on it, and the boot screen when you get to it says TV game. So it's one of those. But it is actually a gaming console. Um, Now, if I were to, and there'll be photos for closer viewing for folks and all that stuff as well, but for Mike. So if I were to kind of hold this up to you, what would you assume this is?
I would assume it's an analog stick based on the form factor.
As did I. So a very brief history of, I'm going to call it the Super Joy 3 because we're close. Um, the These were sold pretty much exclusively in kiosks in malls, such as the Mall of America. And they included, the box said 76,000 games. More on that shortly. But, and it's a Famiclone, so it's Famicom games and NES games are what are on there. Spoiler, there's not 76,000 games on there, but that's what the slot is. The slot is actually, if I get a Famicom cartridge, in theory, I can stick that in that slot there and play it. I don't know how easy it's going to be for me to hold the joystick with a whole cartridge sticking out down below it, which is
That's what
maybe
I was just trying to picture how that would work.
gotta. I think you've got to kind of get the fingers around on the sides, but no trigger button because it's not a Nintendo 64, and the buttons are A B and A. The yellow buttons are A B A B. There's two sets of them, and function in a very strange fashion. Um, so, a gentleman was selling these in kiosks, doing fine for himself. They were listing anywhere from, you know, 50 to 70 bucks for you to buy them. Apparently, he was getting for about $7 a pop from China. And one day, the FBI stopped by at his booth, said, "Hey, how you doing?" And we'd like to see your warehouse as well. Like to see what you have here in the kiosk in your warehouse, because Nintendo don't play. And as they kind of became aware of it, they go, "Wow, this is about as egregious as you can get of copyright infringement." And so he had his day in court. It did not go well for him. He was had got 5 years for piracy on that. He had to actually pay and have ads placed with his photo in them saying, "This is illegal to do. I did it, and I'm going to jail, and it's bad. And here's my picture." And he also, and not 100% confirmed, but nearly all the stuff that I read or watched on YouTube indicated he was also then deported to Israel as well, which, as deportations go these days, he did okay. It could be worse. So, but he had kind of a tough run there. But the the reason I kind of bring that up is you get your 7,600 games. And it would come. But they said, this was kind of a weird little thing. No one's ever been super impressed with its kind of playability, or nor was I. We'll talk more on that shortly as well. But they said you can usually, you can still see them. You can find them. They're at rummage sales, those types of things, which is exactly where I got my Super Joy 3. was there was a big uh, used to be an outlet mall. Nearly everything went under at the outlet mall by where I live, and so now they have a bunch of kind of really open spaces to do different things. And so they had kind of a rummage sale kind of thing, and that ran for the morning. And they said, but we're going to shut it down at noon and reset. And then when you come back in at 1 o'clock, you can buy a bag for $2 or a box for $3, and everything you can fit in it you walk out with. It was just, just load her up and go. They're just looking to get rid of inventory. And so making my way through all the things were there. Got a nice Estes rocket, looks in excellent condition. So that was a nice thing to pick up. A new tripod, Kodak tripod looks pretty nice as well. And then I was just about to leave when I looked and said, that looks like a Nintendo controller. But as I showed, like no Nintendo controller I'd ever seen. And so I picked it up and I said, okay, let me try this. Boy, this joystick is stuck. Said I'm gonna have to figure out if I'm good enough to fix the joystick on this thing. And I got home and started watching videos on it and found out, nope, that's just for show. It's a piece of plastic glued on the top so that it'll look like a Nintendo 64 controller. There's very little functionality like the controller. Um, Another quiz for you. So it's also got a nice rattle. There's a nice rattle. There's something in here that's
You
not,
always want to hear that with electronics.
yeah, that's the sign of quality when it's got a nice resonance to it. What's this, Mike?
I would say it's a D-pad.
You'd be wrong. That's a piece of shit, is what that is. That is the worst D-pad I have ever, ever experienced in my life. And, it is, oh, it is brutal. It is random. It's like I would like to try playing Pac-Man, and left and right worked fairly well. Down somewhat. Up was a crapshoot. Up would either not work at all or send me a different direction, or sometimes just not work at all. And so the buttons and controls are highly non-responsive. The D-pad's completely unreliable. Um, Back to the 76,000 games. There are actually probably around 76 games on the cartridge. And then they do variants of these games. And basically, every game, in their clever ploy to avoid any sort of copyright issue, they would do a couple tactics. The one tactic that's universal is they put three random letters at the end of every game. So Donkey Kong XLG, and they mean nothing. The letters mean nothing, but then you get Donkey Kong, a different set of letters, and Donkey Kong, a different set of letters, 1,000 times until you can get your number up to 76. And there are, based on scrolling through, they have listed 76,000 different things you can press start on, but it's only 76. And sometimes they'll start you at a new level. Maybe the color palette changes in some of it. For one of the Donkey Kong Jr. versions, the Donkey Kong up in the upper left-hand corner, the outline of the sprite is still there, but it's all been filled in with like a lime green. So there's like this kind of green snowman-y looking thing, and then the Diddy Kong or Donkey Kong Jr. is filled in purple and pretty unidentifiable. Kind of looks like an amoeba, because you use contrast. So there are some like ROM hacks ish on there. Um, I thought it would be interesting to try a couple different versions of Pac-Man to see as I scroll down through the thousands of choices to do it. So their trick here to avoid copyright is to take the ROM for Mappy and associate it with the title Pac-Man. So, so when you click on Pac-Man, so through almost the entire list, except the first instance of Pac-Man, I clicked on Pac-Man and I got Mappy. Uh, when I clicked on Mappy, I got Mappy. And then there was like a cat and mouse game, which was Mappy. And so it was there many times. Um, it looks like, and for my version, this may just be, this guy's got some age on him, but we'll see. But no sound, which actually is not a huge loss from, because from what I've seen on reviews, the sound was pretty horrendous anyway. So, but I'm not getting sound. I'll also include, there'll be a photo. I'll send it to you, Mike, too, so you can see it prior to the show going out. Um, what I had to do to get it up on the projector to play these games and to do it, because there is, and we want to do this real time to show the folks. This is, the world's easiest uh, thing to get a battery pack out. See, it just slides right out. Like you can see, not a problem. Um, what's super nice on this is that it says insert battery pack in the right place. That's the directions on there. We'll include a photo for that as well. But that does say insert battery pack in the right place, and it holds 4 AA batteries allegedly, because I put 4 AA batteries in this and I couldn't close the case, and so I was unaware that perhaps Duracell batteries might work out more than some other brands, and they might be just a hair thinner. Because I did see another person complaining, oh, it didn't work, but then as he's doing it real time, he popped in 4 AA's and it actually closed and worked. But there isn't a double A. There aren't 4 AA's in this house that I can put in there and get this thing to close to do it. So I had to power it. There's no indication of I had to do some research to find out. 9 volt center negative for those of you who are at a rummage sale picking up the Super Joy 3. That's what you're going to need to do. Use the super wonderful multi adapter thing for the power source, which is what powers my current Atari 2600 as well. Um, so I had to get that. I had to get power there. So now you've got, think about it. I got a Famicom cartridge in the bottom. Got a wire coming in the top for the power source. I've got 2 wires coming out as my AV jack, and I tried to run it through the AV jack and was having difficulty with that. So I pulled out my HDMI upgrader, ran the AV into that, and then that up to the projector. And I did actually then get the screen and try everything out. So I thought it was a 50-50 chance this thing would even start up. There's no light or whatever on this stuff. There's that rattle again. Wait, that folks. That is so nice. Um, no light on it to indicate whether it's on or not, but boy, so let's do a skip it. Let's just buy it on Super Joy 3, shall we, Mike? So are you gonna buy one of these?
I did not that exact model. Mine didn't have the Nintendo 64 style controller. It was a Super Nintendo style controller. So it's one of the other, it might be the 2 model instead of the 3. But I did buy one of those. There was a Kia. I had no interest in them, but we were going through a mall many, many years ago, and a kiosk was shutting down, probably because the guy was going to jail. A kiosk was shutting down, and they were just liquidating all of them. So I think it was like $10 for the pack. So at that price point, I was willing to make that investment, only to discover, the same thing. There's a handful of games on there. They're under weird titles, and it was difficult to just get the weird titles made it difficult to just find the real version of the game, which made it very frustrating to try and play. It also had a light gun with it that didn't work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did and what you're probably going to find in most rummage sales is, a piece of this fine setup, but you would get a light gun, which uh, from some of the reviews I've seen on it, actually most people said, hey, it actually kind of worked. Had to be on a CRT and not a flat screen though, which I don't understand the science of at all, but I trust them. That because I was very consistent to say, and if you have a CRT, then you can use the light gun. And also then the second controller, because you just don't have enough wires coming out of the front of this thing. So let's add one more. We've got kind of the old standard Atari port there on the front, the adapter for that went to a Genesis controller looking thing that had ABC followed by ABC as the six buttons. So as far as anybody who I did not get that, so I can't confirm, but it sounds like the C button's there for show, and you're in a two button world. Um, so you bought, what would you be willing to upgrade? Would you be willing to, if you had the opportunity, to go to the Super Joy 3? Is that a buy it?
If the price point was low enough, similar to when I purchased whatever model it was that I had for $10, sure. I think if they're asking for more than that, I think that's gonna be a tough sell for me. $10 is probably my ceiling for something like that.
Yeah, my ceiling is probably about 10 times lower than that, given the fact that I can play all this stuff on Super Console X and attach a good controller to it instead of still better than this thing, but not, the Super Console X controllers they come with are middle of the road. They're okay, but you can, put a Xbox One controller on it and life's a lot better. So, yeah, I would be a buy it at $1 or less, or as it sat in my box of things. I think I would have ended up, it was around a quarter that I spent, and I'm comfortable making that investment for this. I think it's going to end up just being decoration at this point, though, because it's not enjoyable to play at all. But the history is good, and I feel the guy did his time, so I owe it to him to not just throw it away. So if anybody out there has Super Joy 3, wants to challenge us on our opinions of it, or commiserate with us, or whatever, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Maybe we're being unfair to this fine piece, but I will challenge you to say, find a worse D-pad on anything. Uh, it's not going to happen. A potato would be a better controller than what this thing is. Just horrible. Um, Please consider subscribing to the Bog Panda YouTube channel, and if you do, hit that bell so you know when new stuff comes out. We do our best to publish 2 shows a week. But not only are we doing that, and when I say we, I mean it's me. Mike's just talent. He just shows up and looks pretty. I slave in the iron fields of video creation, and also put out daily Hard No, the world's shortest podcast. What's the tagline for that, Mike?
It's a grower, not a shower.
That's not the tagline, Mike. It's less than a minute. You have no excuse. That's the tagline. I know you want that other one to be your tagline, but there's a lot of things you want that aren't going to happen. So ignore what he
I
said
feel
there.
like they could go together.
You can think that if that makes you feel better, but they're not. Um, but do that. Check out Bog Panda Vision. That's our micro homebrew portion of the site. Links in the description. Lots and lots of free Game Boy games out there, and one Game Boy Color of the Slapdash variety. So you'll see lots of those out there. An NES game coming pretty quick. All those are free. Doom levels, all those are free. The C64 coding written in gold. inscribed on a diamond plate by Mike. That's out there. An online game, Dr. Mike online game worth checking out. So a lot of goodies out there. So check out Bog Panda Vision, do some of that. And then also, we've got some T-shirts and such on our merchandise. Links in the description if you want to look at a few of those. We'd appreciate that as well. Um, Want to revise your skip a list to buy it, or you gonna stick with your $10 cap? Want to? I'd suggest you lower it.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking the ease that I have to access to all these games. I wasn't factoring that in. So probably $1 as well.
Yep. Anybody want to put in bids differently? Let us know in the comments where your ceiling is for Super Joy 3. And cool. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bog Panda.